The door never closed behind her. It didn't slam, it didn't latch. It was left exactly as it was, slightly open. She had stepped outside for less than 30 seconds. No shoes, no phone, no jacket, and then nothing. No sound, no movement, no indication that anything unusual had occurred. The door remained open. This is a true disappearance. There was no struggle, no witnesses, no evidence recovered that explains what happened next. What makes this case disturbing is not how far she vanished, but how close she was to home when it happened. She didn't leave for the night. She didn't go for a walk. She stepped outside and never came back. The house was ordinary. A familiar neighborhood, streetlights, nearby homes. Nothing remote, nothing isolated. Inside, everything was exactly as it should have been. Lights were on. Personal belongings were in place. There were no signs of urgency or distress. She told someone inside the house she would be right back. That sentence matters, because it tells us something important. She did not intend to leave. The door became one of the most critical details in the investigation. It was not forced open. It was not closed. It was left slightly ajar. Investigators noted that this position was consistent with someone stepping out briefly, expecting to return immediately. Not seconds later, not minutes later, immediately. Whatever happened next interrupted her. The timeline was unusually tight. From the moment she stepped outside to the moment her absence was noticed, less than 30 seconds passed. That window is critical. In that amount of time, there was no opportunity to travel any meaningful distance, no opportunity to prepare or plan, and no opportunity for a voluntary disappearance. This wasn't a case of someone leaving unnoticed. This was a disappearance that occurred almost immediately. There were no sounds reported. No raised voices, no footsteps running, no vehicle engines. Neighbors heard nothing. Pets didn't react. Security cameras captured no unusual movement. There were no footprints leading away from the doorway. It was as if she had stepped out of the frame of reality itself. At first, no one panicked. She had stepped outside briefly, to check something, to take a breath, to retrieve an item. Seconds passed, then more seconds. The door remained open. Someone inside the house called her name. There was no response. Another few moments passed, long enough for uncertainty to settle in. The door was still open, and the space beyond it was empty. The initial search was immediate and informal. People stepped outside, they checked the yard, they walked the driveway, they looked down the street in both directions. They expected to see her just out of view. They didn't. There was nowhere nearby for a person to disappear into. No alleys, no wooded area, no hidden paths. Just open space and ordinary surroundings. Within minutes, the situation shifted from confusion to concern. Authorities were contacted. The call wasn't dramatic, it was factual. A woman stepped outside briefly and didn't return. The dispatcher asked standard questions. What was she wearing? How long had she been gone? Was there any history of leaving unexpectedly? The answers didn't help, because the details didn't fit any known pattern. Officers arrived quickly. They assessed the scene, the open door, the intact interior, the absence of disturbance. No signs of forced entry, no signs of a struggle. Nothing was broken, nothing was missing. The scene didn't suggest a crime in progress. It suggested interruption. Investigators expected something: a footprint, a dropped item, a direction of travel. Instead, there was nothing. No scuff marks on the ground, no displaced objects, no indication of movement away from the house. Even the most routine disappearances leave traces. This one didn't. Abduction was considered. It had to be. But it raised immediate problems. There was no vehicle reported, no sounds of resistance, no witnesses, and most importantly, there was no time. 30 seconds is not enough for an abduction to occur silently, cleanly, and without a trace in a populated area. The theory existed, but it didn't hold. As the first hour passed, the response escalated. More officers arrived, volunteers gathered, search perimeters widened, flashlights swept yards, streets, and nearby structures. The expectation was simple. Someone stepping outside for a moment had to be somewhere nearby, but the area yielded nothing. No sign of movement, no indication of direction. The environment behaved as though she had never entered it. Canine units were deployed. Dogs were brought to the doorway. They picked up a scent, briefly, just beyond the threshold, and then it stopped. Not faded, not dispersed. Stopped. Handlers described it as abrupt, as if the trail ended rather than continued. There was no clear direction to follow, no indication she moved further away. Watch out for Part 2.